everyone, I'm Dr. Z. I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in transgender care. Welcome to my channel. So this video is titled Realizing that it's not just cross-dressing, and I am foreseeing that some people will maybe get a little bit freaked out because a lot of people that I know who engage in cross-dressing have already inherent fears that it may be something more than just cross-dressing. A lot of people prefer feminizing or masculizing to cross-dressing, saying that trans people don't cross-dress. I'm keeping cross-dressing primarily because in this video, I'm talking about people who engaged in cross-dressing behavior thinking it was all about only cross-dressing behavior, who were not feminizing or masculizing to get in touch with their authentic gender by knowing they have dysphoria. I'm not talking about a group of people who have dysphoria, know they have dysphoria, know they may be even transgender, and they're feminizing or masculizing in their private time or out there socially in order to express and get in touch with their authenticity. This is for people who, and some of you watching this already may have been in this spot, who are cross-dressing or have been cross-dressing. And so that's all there was. You were just cross-dressing, had nothing to do with gender dysphoria, nothing to do with trans identity. And then suddenly realize that, oh, it probably does. So this video is for you because I want to put out the fires and give you an explanation why there is, and to hopefully, ideally calm down some of the anxieties. So for starters, I want to make it abundantly clear, and I also have a video on this, that not everybody that cross-dresses ends up struggling with gender dysphoria and ends up identifying as transgender and ends up going through gender transition. Again, not everybody who engages in cross-dressing behavior goes on to identify as transgender, develop gender dysphoria, or goes through gender dysphoria. That is just a fact. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people cross-dress for, in my experience, two primary reasons. Reason number one, this would be probably high percentile of the reason that people do it, is sexual pleasure. It is a sexual behavior. It is sexually enticing. It is sexually something that people enjoy. It is almost a sexual fetish, if you will. Nothing wrong with it. The problem is that we socially have made this behavior into a taboo. And then there's some people who have started off cross-dressing for sexual pleasure, and later it evolved into just a sense of calm, tranquility, peacefulness. And these people continue to engage in this behavior for that reason. How do you know that it's just a cross-dressing behavior and nothing more? Well, you have to look at how you feel in regard to gender assigned at birth. That's going to be square one. A lot of people who I talk to, concerned, could it be that I'm trans, turn out that they have no social dysphoria, no physical dysphoria, and they're very comfortable with their gender assigned at birth. And when they engage in this behavior, it's just only with aim to sexually achieve pleasure. And when they do it, they put it away and they feel great and nothing bothers them. Then that's all it is. That's all there is to it. What we got to keep in mind before I go on to kind of putting out the fires of what happens, you realize that it's not just cross-dressing behavior for you, for those of you who are in the spot. What happens with cross-dressing behavior is that it kind of falls into three groups. Group number one, again, people who will cross-dress for the rest of their life and there's nothing to it and they enjoy their gender assigned at birth and they're comfortable and they have zero dysphoria. Right. Group number two are individuals, and I said it in my other video on cross-dressing, because you are engaging in a behavior that is still taboo socially. What happens is when you cross-dress for sexual pleasure, you do it, it feels good, and then what follows is shame and guilt, and the shame and guilt catapults inner self-questioning, inner self-inquiry of what's going on. Why am I doing this? This is not okay. This is not normal. There's got to be something wrong with me. The more you engage in this behavior, because it's only something that gives you so much pleasure, and the more you constantly, every single time afterwards, ask yourself, something has got to be wrong with me. Something is wrong with me, and it's got to be something that probably maybe has to do with my gender because it's somehow related to cross-dressing between gender polarities. The more you ask yourself and breathe that question, the more you're putting it a seed of insecurity, and the less you allow your actual genders that you're comfortable with to solidify. So your gender assigned at birth, you may feel very sad about it because you're constantly questioning it. Our minds are capable of seeding doubts, and those doubts eventually breed a seed of a big proportion. And that ultimately can cause one to feel gender dysphoria. Has been people who have developed gender dysphoria as a byproduct of that. And I will go on record saying that if you develop gender dysphoria as a result of constantly questioning yourself and not letting your gender assigned at birth to solidify, is that incongruency is going to come out. When that incongruency come out, it's naturally, the keyword naturally, it's naturally will form transgender identity within you. So this is one group of people who end up not having a physical congruency in childhood, but constantly questioning themselves, setting up this cross-dressing behavior, may now find themselves in a position where it's wow, this is actually more than cross-dressing. And then the last group of people who engage in cross-dressing behavior are people who actually already have gender dysphoria. They already have transgender formations of identity, but they're not aware of it because it's so deeply nested within them, because it's so deeply repressed within them. So they engage in cross-dressing behavior because it feels good, and they keep telling themselves that's all it is a behavior, because they don't feel any dysphoria, they don't feel any incongruency, because the dysphoria is so deeply repressed. And no amount of specialist is going to tell you whether there's repressed material or not, because when you present for therapy, you bring out the narrative and you bring out the relationship to your body, the relationship to your gender that you truly believe. And if part of you is still unconscious in regards to authentic self, we have to go off on what actually currently conscious and accessible to you. I hope this makes sense. So this is also another group of people who realize they are transgender, and this is not just cross-dressing behavior. I know that for a lot of people, it can be an overwhelming moment, because with that moment comes realization that, oh my God, this is sexual dysphoria and I have to do something about it. But I'm here to tell you this. If you realize that this is more than just cross-dressing behavior, first and foremost, take a deep breath. Really, take a deep breath. I'm here to tell you that as hard as this is going to sound to believe, this is something that I have witnessed in my career again and again and again. Everybody has their timing when their egg is going to crack. Everybody has their timing when their egg is going to crack. I know some of you are sitting here thinking, well, this is ridiculous. I don't want my egg to crack when I'm 50 years old. And I didn't realize all this material was repressed inside of me, and I just wasted all this life not doing anything about it. And I thought it was just about cross-dressing, but now I'm realizing that I have this tremendous amount of dysphoria and I have to do something about it. I'm still going to tell you this is your time. You egg cracked when it needed to crack. And the reason why is because repression is also there for a reason. You need to realize, for a lot of you who are in the situations, you need to realize that you most likely grow up in a time when it was not safe to gender bend at all. You grew up in environments, or you grew up in surroundings where it was not safe to show who you, if you externalized any sense of self, you would not have made it. You also have to realize that depression happens to us because we're just psychologically not equipped to deal with it. Things happen for a reason. We tend to repress material in ourselves, and then it tends to always come up because we can only keep things for so long. There's things in life that happen to us that help us to open things internally so that we can take a deep look into our inner selves. And there's things that tend to push things more internally and lock them away. Things that happen in childhood, a parent giving you a disgusting look, a parent telling you, you will go to hell if you do this, is going to be enough for you to stuff it and lock the door on it until you're later in your life. Why is it that for so many people, age, I would say 40, 45 and up, is when repressed material gets lifted? You know, we hear a lot of narratives of people when they're saying that, why is it that all my life I was not aware of this and I thought it was just cross-dressing, and now suddenly I have this tremendous amount of dysphoria, and as I look back, suddenly things make sense and they line up, and I can see how I have been actually trans all along. The reason why you become aware of it later in your life is because the first half of our lives, we're all preoccupied with external living. Going to college, getting the career, making money, buying the house, buying the car, adulting, being able to pay mortgage, being able to pay house insurance, getting married, having kids, providing for those kids. It's all external responsibilities. When we are, and sadly, this is such an American US culture, at least here in the United States. When we live in a culture that teaches us to externalize things, it robs us from opportunity of looking inwards. This culture does not teach us, at least in my experience in the United States, it does not teach me how to sit within myself, how to look internally, how to look within myself. This is why in the second half of our lives, when we have already finished externalizing and adulting and doing all external things, we finally are able to pause and look inwards into ourselves. When we look inwards into ourselves, suddenly, for a lot of you, you realize that, oh, dysphoria has been there all along. Oh, I thought it was just cross-dressing, but it's something else going on here, because you were able to pause. I'm here to tell you, take a deep breath. It's not a bad thing. It's a normal, natural thing. Self-awareness to all of us comes at different seasons, at different ages, in different pops in our lives. There's no one good way to become self-aware. You're constantly evolving as a human being. I'm constantly evolving. You may feel like you're regretting that it didn't come at an earlier time, but I guarantee you, chances are you were not ready to deal, to look at it, to sit with it, to take it in, to allow it space that it needs at a younger time. You have to respect the timing there for a reason. The egg ends up cracking when things become aligned in a particular way, and eventually it puts enough pressure on a shell and the egg cracks. The same things happen here. So if you just realize that it's not just cross-dressing, that you actually have dysphoria and you have gender dysphoria and you're dealing with gender incongruency and you're freaking out and your anxiety and you realize anxiety, take one big deep breath. Remember, realizing something doesn't mean you have to run and you have to make huge, huge life-flipping decisions. First, sit with that awareness. First, sit with that. Sit with the fact that, wow, this has been repressed for so long. Have compassion for yourself and try to look at your history. Why it hasn't been repressed for so long? You probably will find some very adequate, tangible reasons why it has been repressed there for so long. Remember, our life presents us with things that help us open ourselves and go inwards. And it also presents us with things that kind of stifle some aspects of ourselves and push on it, right? Trauma students, they sometimes push on aspects of ourselves and don't let them to come out, don't let them breathe. So if you just realize that it's more than cross-dressing, take a deep breath. It is okay. Okay. You egg cracked and it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to run and again, make giant leaps. You can take it in a small, small strides, but it does and can happen, especially for people in their second half of their lives. Again, not everybody who cross-dresses is going to fall into this category. Lots of people. I have a client that is 87 years old. Cross-dressing. Always been cross-dressing, and they continue to cross-dress. Has nothing to do with their gender, has nothing to do with dysphoria, had nothing to do with transidentity. Do they use felt shame and guilt early on? Yeah, but we work through it, and for them, they love their gender assigned at birth. They have no incongruency whatsoever, and they love cross-dressing. Fantastic. So it's not everybody is going to suddenly use cross-dressing as a sublimation for gender dysphoria. Keep that in mind, please. That's really, really important because a lot of people freak out, and that's, I know there's a lot of forums that say if you cross-dress, you're definitely trans. That is not true. Comment below, let me know if you've been in the spot, if you're now in the spot where you suddenly realize that it's not just cross-dressing behavior, but it's actually has more to do with deeply seated gender dysphoria and deeply seated trans identity. How are you feeling? What's going on with you? Are you able to take a deep breath? Are you able to look back? And are you able to understand how you couldn't have done anything about it earlier? Comment below, let me know, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.